Bura Azərbaycandır. Bakı vaxtı ilə saat 20-dir. Azərbaycan televiziyasının efirində ASTV xəbəri izləyirsiniz. Xəbərlərin 20 buraxılışını Samirə Mustafayeva təqdim edir.
Axşamınız xeyir olsun. Xəbərləri təqdim edirik. Studiyada Samirə Mustafayevadır. Bugün Prezident İlham Əliyevin Berlində Almaniya Federativ Respublikasının Prezidenti Frank-Valter Ştaynmayerlə təkbətək, sonra isə geniş tərkibdə görüşü keçirilib.
Almaniya Prezidenti Frank-Valter Ştaynmayer Azərbaycan Prezidenti İlham Əliyevi qarşıladı. Prezident İlham Əliyev Fəxri Qonaqlar kitabına ürək sözlərini yazdı. Sonra Prezident İlham Əliyevin Almaniya Federativ Respublikasının Prezidenti Frank-Valter Ştaynmayerlə təkbətək görüş oldu. Daha sonra Prezident İlham Əliyevin Berlində Almaniya Federativ Respublikasının Prezidenti Frank-Valter Ştaynmayerlə geniş tərkibdə görüşü keçirildi.
My dear colleague, Mr. President, I remember our meetings in former days in Baku. I was arriving in different capacities in those days. We were just talking about that. The times are different now. Meanwhile, a lot of turbulences around us, and we were using the time during our ballot to analyze the situation. Now 1 year after the Russian aggression against Ukraine, what does it mean for our political environment and economic situation? And we had the chance to talk about the conflict between Azerbaijan and Armenia. I think we both are living in the hope that all the mediation processes will lead to success, and that the peace agreement can be finalized as soon as possible. But we are realistic enough to know it's a complex conflict, and even if some important steps forward have been made during the last weeks and months, thanks to the mediation process of Ştaynmayer, there is a lot of work to do. So, therefore, welcome to Germany.
Thank you, Mr. President. Very glad to be back to Germany. As we discussed with you during that meeting, we will do our utmost to contribute to peaceful settlement of relations between Azerbaijan and Armenia. I think there is a good chance to come to an agreement, especially after Prague and Sochi declarations of October last year, where Armenia and Azerbaijan recognized each other's territorial integrity and sovereignty. And the idea to sign this treaty sooner than later was actually our idea, right after the end of the Second World War. And we elaborated 5 principles which are in line with international law, which, according to our position, should be a foundation for peace agreement.
Almaniya prezidenti qeyd etdi ki, dövlətimizin başçısı ilə görüşdə Azərbaycanla Ermənistan arasında münasibətlərin normallaşması və sülh müqaviləsinin imzalanması ilə bağlı müzakirələr aparılıb və o sülh müqaviləsinin imzalanacağına ümidvardır. Frank-Valter Ştaynmayer Almaniyanın Avropa İttifaqı Şurasının prezidenti Şarl Mişelin apardığı missiyaya dəstək verdiyini qeyd etdi. Bu əsnada tezliklə Brüsseldə görüşün keçiriləcəyinə ümidvar olduğunu dedi. Almaniya prezidenti əlavə etdi ki, Şarl Mişelin missiyasına hər iki tərəfin etimadı var. O, həmçinin Amerika Birləşmiş Ştatlarının dövlət katibi Antony Blinkenin də Azərbaycanla Ermənistan arasında münasibətlərin normallaşdırılması prosesinə ciddi dəstək və töhfə verdiyini bildirdi. Frank-Valter Ştaynmayer Almaniyanın Azərbaycanın ərazi bütövlüyünü və suverenliyini dəstəklədiyini vurğuladı. Prezident İlham Əliyev bildirdi ki, Azərbaycan Ermənistanla sülh müqaviləsinin imzalanma prosesini, Avropa İttifaqı Şurasının prezidenti Şarl Mişelin missiyasını, Brüssel sülh gündəliyini dəstəkləyir. Məhz bu əsnada aparılan görüşlərdə qəbul edilən bəyanatlarda sülh müqaviləsinin və sülh gündəlik platformasının müəyyən olunduğunu diqqətə çatdırdı. Dövlətimizin başçısı qeyd etdi ki, 5 prinsipi özündə əhatə edən sülh müqaviləsinin imzalanması ilə bağlı təşəbbüs məhz Azərbaycan tərəfindən irəli sürülüb və iki ölkə arasında sülh müqaviləsi bu prinsiplər əsasında imzalana bilər. Prezident İlham Əliyev bildirdi ki, Azərbaycanın mövqeyi 2 yanaşmadan ibarətdir. Birinci yanaşma Azərbaycanla Ermənistan arasında sülh müqaviləsinin imzalanması, ikinci yanaşma isə Azərbaycanın Qarabağın erməni sakinləri ilə dialoqun həyata keçirilməsidir. Prezident İlham Əliyev bildirdi ki, Azərbaycan tərəfindən müəyyən olunmuş nümayəndə martın 5-də Azərbaycanın Qarabağ bölgəsindən olan sakinlərlə görüşüb. Azərbaycan prezidentinin administrasiyası tərəfindən Qarabağın erməni ictimaiyyətinin nümayəndələri reinteqrasiya məsələləri və bir sıra infrastruktur layihələrinin həyata keçirilməsi üzrə təmasların davam etdirilməsi üçün Bakıya dəvət olunub. Azərbaycan prezidenti İlham Əliyev separatizmin bütün forma və təzahürlərinin qəbul edilməz olduğunu qeyd etdi. Separatist meyillərə münasibətdə vahid mövqeyin nümayiş etdirilməsinin vacibliyini vurğuladı. Dövlətimizin başçısı Azərbaycanın Laçın yolu ilə bağlı məsələsinə toxunaraq, bu yolun blokadada olması barədə Ermənistanın iddialarının tamamilə əsassız olduğunu bildirdi. Yol üzrə hərəkətin təmin edildiyini, dekabrın 12-dən etibarən Rusiya sülh məramlarının və Beynəlxalq Qırmızı Xaç Komitəsinin xətti ilə buradan 4000-dən artıq nəqliyyat vasitəsinin, 150-dən çox tibbi yardıma ehtiyacı olan şəxsin keçdiyini vurğuladı. Prezident İlham Əliyev Rusiya sülh məramlarının müvəqqəti yerləşdiyi Azərbaycan ərazilərində Ermənistan silahlı qüvvələrinin mövcudluğunun və Laçın yolundan hərbi məqsədlər, hərbi daşımalar üçün istifadənin Azərbaycan tərəfini narahat etdiyini bildirdi. Dövlətimizin başçısı üç tərəfli bəyanata əsasən Zəngəzur dəhlizinin açılması ilə bağlı Ermənistanın üzərinə düşən öhdəlikləri yerinə yetirmədiyini dedi və Laçın yolunun son nöqtəsində Azərbaycan və Ermənistan sərhəddində Azərbaycanın müvafiq sərhəd keçid məntəqəsinin yaradılması ilə bağlı təklifi barədə məlumat verdi. Zəngəzur dəhlizinin fəaliyyətə başlaması ilə region üçün yeni nəqliyyat dəhlizinin formalaşmasına imkan yaranacağını vurğulayan Prezident İlham Əliyev Azərbaycanın hazırda öz ərazisində dəmir yollarının və avtomobil yollarının qurulması üzrə işləri sürətli şəkildə davam etdirdiyini bildirdi. Görüşdə regional və qlobal gündəlikdə duran məsələlər ətrafında fikir mübadiləsi aparıldı.
Bugün Prezident İlham Əliyevin Almaniya Federativ Respublikasının kansleri Olaf Scholz'la təkbətək, sonra isə geniş tərkibdə görüşü keçirilib.
Almaniya Federativ Respublikasının kansleri Olaf Scholz Azərbaycan Respublikasının prezidenti İlham Əliyevi qarşıladı. Sonra Prezident İlham Əliyevin Almaniya Federativ Respublikasının kansleri Olaf Scholzla təkbətək görüşü oldu. Təkbətək görüş başa çatandan sonra Prezident İlham Əliyevin Almaniya Federativ Respublikasının kansleri Olaf Scholzla geniş tərkibdə görüşü keçirildi.
Bugün Prezident İlham Əliyev və Almaniya Federativ Respublikasının kansleri Olaf Scholz birgə mətbuat konfransı keçiriblər.
Hörmətli xanımlar və cənablar, mən bugün Azərbaycanın dövlət prezidenti cənab İlham Əliyevi Berlində ürəkdən salamlayırıq. Biz elə indicə iki tərəfli əməkdaşlığımızın necə dərinləşdirəcəyi haqqında gözəl fikir mübadiləsi apardıq və ötən il biz ölkələrimiz arasında 30 illik diplomatik münasibətlərimizin yubileyini də qeyd elədik. Azərbaycan və Avropa Birliyi şərqi tərəfdaşlıq çərçivəsində daha da sıx əməkdaşlıq etmək istəyirlər. Və bu necə mümkündür və əsasən də iki tərəfli iqtisadi münasibətlərimizi nəzərə alaraq, həmçinin bu sualı da biz görüş çərçivəsində müzakirə elədik. Azərbaycan həm Almaniya, həm Avropa Birliyi üçün əhəmiyyəti artan tərəfdaşdır və ölkənin deməli həm Alman, həm Avropa Birliyinin enerji təchizatı üçün böyük potensialı mövcuddur. Azərbaycan öz töhfəsini göstərə bilər və eyni zamanda yenidən bərpa olunacaq enerji də bizim belə də ki əməkdaşlığımızın bir mövzusudur. Cənab Prezident Əliyev və mən Rusiyanın Ukraynaya hücumu haqqında da fikir mübadiləsi apardıq və bu hücumun, bu müharibənin Azərbaycana və Cənubi Qafqaza təsirinin haqqında da fikir mübadiləsi apardıq. Mən öz mövqeyimizi açıq şəkildə izhar elədim. Bizim fikrimizcə Rusiyanın təcavüz müharibəsi beynəlxalq deməli hüquqa ziddir açıq şəkildə və Rusiyanın deməli bu işğal edici müharibəsi yeni bir epoxanın belə də ki başlanğıcını geosiyasi nöqteyi nəzərdən işarə eləyir. Bizim üçün vacibdir ki Azərbaycan və Ermənistan arasında uzun müddətli münaqişə artıq özünün sülh həllini tapsın və açığı deyək ki Almaniya deməli qeyri-sabit Ermənistan-Azərbaycan sərhədəsində mövcud olan qeyri-sabit duruma görə biraz narahatdır və təbii ki burada gərginliyin artması təhlükəsi mövcuddur və son aylar, son həftələr baş verən hadisələr bunu göz qabağına gətirdi. Deməli, bizim arzumuz nədir ki, tez bir zamanda, qısa bir zamanda yerindəcə bu münaqişə uzun müddətli və qəbul olunan öz həllini tapsın və burada sülh deyəndə, sülh həlli deyəndə təbii ki, nəyi nəzərdə tuturuq ki, həm Ermənistanın, həm Azərbaycanın ərazi bütövlüyü nəzərə alınsın, təmin olunsun və eyni zamanda deməli, hər iki ölkənin, həm Azərbaycanın, həm Ermənistanın əhalisinin insan hüquqları və azadlıqların hüquqları qorunmalıdır və beynəlxalq hüquqla ahəng olmalıdır. Və Almaniya burada təbii ki, burada öz dəstəyini göstərməyə hazırdır. Deməli, bildiyiniz kimi Avropa Birliyinin mülki missiyası mövcuddur Ermənistanda və burada Almaniya bu missiyanı dəstəkləyir və deməli Almaniya tərəfindən bu missiyanın rəhbərini Almaniya tərəfindən təmin edibdir. Cənab Əliyev və mən eyni fikirdəyik ki, bu münaqişə tez bir zamanda öz həllini tapmalıdır və Azərbaycan və Almaniya Avropa Şurasının üzvüdür və biz həmin bu üzvçülüklə üzərimizə öhdəlik götürmüşük ki, insanların hüquqları qorunsun, demokratiya qorunsun, hüquqi dövlətçilik qorunsun. Və biz belə düşünürük ki, demokratiyanın ayrılmaz bir hissəsi canlı mülki cəmiyyətdir. Çünki canlı mülki cəmiyyətdən hər bir cəmiyyət ancaq səmərələnə bilər. Mənim hörmətli xanımlar və cənablar, mən bu çətin bir dövrdə belə müsbət bir danışığın aparılmasından məmnunluq duydum və biz belə bir qərara gəldik cənab prezidentlə ki, biz sıx əlaqədə qalaq və əməkdaşlığımızı davam etdirək. Cənab prezident, buyurun.
Teşekkür ederim hörmətli cənab kansler, hörmətli xanımlar və cənablar. İlk növbədə cənab kansler dəvətə və qonaqpərvərliyə görə sizə təşəkkürümü bildirmək istəyirəm. Səfər zamanı apardığımız danışıqlar bir də onu göstərir ki, Almaniya-Azərbaycan əlaqələri yüksək səviyyədədir. Siyasi dialoq müntəzəm olaraq aparılır və əminəm ki, mənim səfərim bizim iki tərəfli münasibətlərimizə çox böyük töhfə verəcəkdir. Siz qeyd etdiyiniz kimi bir çox məsələlər bugün müzakirə olundu. O cümlədən Avropa İttifaqı Azərbaycan əlaqələri. Bu istiqamətdə çox önəmli addımlar atılır. Xüsusilə keçən il Avropa İttifaqı ilə Azərbaycan arasında imzalanmış enerji təhlükəsizliyi üzrə strateji tərəfdaşlığa dair anlaşma memorandumu bizim niyyətimizi göstərir və memorandumun icrası və sürətlə icrası, vaxtında icrası bir də göstərir ki, Azərbaycan Avropa üçün etibarlı tərəfdaşdır. Biz qaz ixracatımızı Avropa məkanına artırırıq. 2021-ci ildə əgər Avropaya 8 milyard kubmetr qaz ixrac etmişiksə, bu il bu rəqəm haradasa 12 milyard kubmetrə çatacaq. Bu bizim ümumi ixracatımızın yarısı deməkdir. Gələcək illərdə öz ixrac coğrafiyamızı Avropada genişləndirmək istərdik. Dünən mənim 30-a yaxın Almaniyalı iş adamı ilə görüşüm olmuşdur. 2 saata yaxın davam edən bu görüşdə Azərbaycana, Azərbaycan iqtisadiyyatına, imkanlara Almaniya biznesi tərəfindən böyük diqqətin şahidi oldum. O cümlədən bərpa olunan enerji növlərinin birgə işlənməsi və istismarı istiqamətində çox gözəl imkanlar var. Bu barədə də bugün biz fikir mübadiləsi apardıq. Azərbaycanın çox geniş bərpa olunan enerji potensialı var. Təkcə Xəzər dənizinin külək enerji potensialı 157 gigavata bərabərdir. Və artıq bir neçə kontrakt imzalanıb və əminəm ki, gələcəkdə Azərbaycan Avropaya təkcə təbii qaz yox, yaşıl enerjini ixrac edən ölkəyə çevriləcəkdir. Bütövlükdə biznes imkanları çox genişdir. Mən Almaniyalı iş adamlarını Azərbaycana dəvət etdim ki, onlar gəlsinlər və bizim müvafiq qurumlarla təmaslar əsnasında gələcək biznes imkanlarını yaxından incələsinlər. Cənab kanslerin dediyi kimi, biz eyni zamanda regional təhlükəsizlik məsələlərini müzakirə etdik. Ermənistan-Azərbaycan normallaşma prosesi ilə bağlı mən Azərbaycan mövqeyini bildirdim. İstəyirəm ki, Almaniya mətbuat nümayəndələri bilsinlər ki, Azərbaycan 30 ilə yaxın erməni işğalına məruz qalmışdır. Və bu işğal və etnik təmizləmə nəticəsində torpaqlarımızın 20%-nə yaxın işğal altına düşdü və 1 milyon Azərbaycanlı Ermənistan tərəfindən öz doğma torpaqlarından qovulmuşdur və qaçqın köçkün vəziyyətinə düşmüşdür. Biz 2 il yarım bundan əvvəl Vətən müharibəsi nəticəsində öz ləyaqətimizi, ərazi bütövlüyümüzü, hüquqlarımızı döyüş meydanında bərpa etdik. Ermənistanı məğlub etdik və məcbur etdik ki, Ermənistan bizim torpaqlarımızdan çıxsın. Beləliklə, 28 il ərzində BMT Təhlükəsizlik Şurasının 4 qətnaməsini icra etməyən Ermənistan cəmi 44 gün ərzində öz məğlubiyyəti ilə barışmalı olmuşdur. Onu da bildirməliyəm ki, əfsuslar olsun ki, vaxtı ilə Qarabağı Ermənistan kimi tanıyan Ermənistan rəhbərliyi sülh şansını itirmişdir. 2019-cu ildə bugünkü Ermənistanın baş naziri demişdir ki, Qarabağ Ermənistandır və nöqtə. Və bu faktiki olaraq sülh danışıqlarına vurulan ən böyük zərbə idi. 44 günlük vətən müharibəsi zamanı biz sübut etdik ki, Qarabağ Azərbaycandır və nida işarəsi və bu nida işarəsini biz 8 noyabr 2020-ci il Şuşada qoyduq. İndi isə sülhün zamanı çatıbdır. Biz Ermənistana sülh təklif eləmişik, 5 prinsip əsasında sülh müqaviləsini təklif eləmişik və ümid edirəm ki, bu şansı Ermənistan qaçırmayacaq və nəhayət Cənubi Qafqazda sülh və əməkdaşlıq dövrü başlayacaqdır. Təşəkkür edirəm.
Əgər suallar mövcuddursa, buyurub sualınızı verə bilərsiniz. Nikol Kunert, ARD nümayəndəsi. Cənab kanslerə sualım var, başqa bir mövzu ilə əlaqədar. Amerikan bank sektoru ilə Silicon Valley bankla əlaqədar. Sizcə Almaniya nöqteyi nəzərdən çıxış etsək, sizcə bizim sərmayələrimiz təhlükəsizliyi təmin olunacaq, yoxsa yox? Mən düşünürəm ki, bugünkü gündə biz 2009-cu illə əlaqədar biz o vaxt ki, bank krizisindən böhranına baxsaq, durumumuz daha yaxşıdır. Biz nəysə müəyyən lessons learned, bir çox şey öyrəndik ötən böhrandan və aktual duruma hazırıq. Ona görə düşünürəm ki, narahatçılığa ehtiyac yox. Amerikanın, Britaniyanın, Almaniyanın reaksiyasına əsasən demək olar ki, hər şey, vəziyyət dəqiq qiymətləndirilir, nəzarət altındadır və müəyyən tədbirləri görmək üçün imkan mövcuddur. Ona görə Almaniyada narahat olmağa ehtiyac yoxdur, mən belə düşünürəm. İkinci sual. Sual eşidilmir, üzr istəyirəm.
Azərbaycan Real Televiziyası Kamran Qasımov, cənab kansler, sualım sizədir. Martın 2-sində Ermənistan baş naziri ilə keçirilən mətbuat konferansında siz bildirdiniz ki, münaqişə Azərbaycan və Ermənistanın ərazi bütövlüyü, eləcə də Dağlıq Qarabağın öz müqəddəratını təyin etmə hüququ əsasında həll oluna bilər. Və bu, hamı üçün bu prinsiplər eynidir. Sualım isə belədir ki, yəni Cənubi Osetiya, Abxaziya, Donbas, Transnistriya kimi ərazilərə də bu prinsiplər şamil oluna bilərmi? Şamil olunurmu? Təşəkkür edirəm.
Sualınıza görə təşəkkür edirəm. Çox asan cavab verə bilərəm. Biz aktual bir münaqişəni götürək, tutalım. Rusiyanın cəhdi Ukraynanın bir hissəsini zəbt eləsin. Biz buna heç vaxt yol vermərik. Biz bununla razı deyilik və bu yalançı referendumların nəticəsi kimi Zaporojyanı, Luhanskı, Xersonu və digər hissələri özünə cəlb etməklə deyil, yəni zəbt etməklə deyil. Biz bununla razı deyilik və biz burada öz mövqeyimizi aydın şəkildə bildirdik ki, BMT-nin nizamnaməsi buna yol vermir. Beynəlxalq hüquqa ziddir bu hərəkət və biz eyni zamanda öz mövqeyimizi aydın şəkildə izhar elədik və hər kim Dağlıq Qarabağın biz də ölkə kimi, respublika kimi qəbul etmədik axı biz də. Dağlıq Qarabağı da biz tanımadıq. Sual, cənab prezident, sual sizə. Siz Avropaya və Almaniya qaz ixrac haqqında məlumat verdiniz. Siz hansısa bir miqdarı deyə bilərsinizmi? Tutalım Almaniya və yaxud Avropaya hansı miqdarda siz qaz göndərə bilərsiniz? Sizin şərtləriniz nədir? Ölkənizin şərtləri nədir? Tutalım uzun müddətli əməkdaşlıq mı olmalıdır? Və federal kanslerdə sualım vardı. Cənab kansler, siz nə deyirsiniz ki, Qarabağ Azərbaycandırmı? Bax, siz bayaq dediniz ki, Dağlıq Qarabağ Respublika kimi tanımırsınız. Qarabağ Azərbaycandırmı?
Biz Avropa məkanına təbii qaz ixracatını 2 ildən bir qədər çox zaman kəsiyində ixrac edirik və ildən ilə bu rəqəmlər artır. Rusiya-Ukrayna müharibəsindən sonra bizə Avropanın 10 ölkəsindən, ən azı 10 ölkəsindən sifarişlər gəldi, təkliflər gəldi ki, biz o ölkələrə də qaz təchizatı təmin edək, ya da ki, artıq qaz təchiz etdiyimiz ölkələrdə qaz miqdarını, həcmini artıraq. Biz keçən il Avropa İttifaqı ilə imzalanmış anlaşma memorandumuna əsasən 2027-ci ilə qədər 20 milyar kubmetr təbii qaz Avropa məkanına çatdırmağı planlaşdırırıq. Onu da bildirməliyəm ki, bizim qaz ixracatımız təkcə Avropa məkanı ilə məhdudlaşmır. Biz eyni zamanda bizim üçün ən böyük bazar olan Türkiyə və eyni zamanda Gürcüstana da qaz ixrac edirik. Ona görə gələcəkdə qazın ixracatını Avropa məkanına çatdırmaq üçün əlbəttə ki, yeni kontraktlar imzalanmalıdır. Hal-hazırda Azərbaycan qazı Türkiyə, Gürcüstan, Bolqarıstan, Yunanistan, İtaliyaya çatdırılır. Bu ildən başlayaraq Rumuniyaya çatdırılmağa başlamışdır. Bu ilin sonunda Macaristana ilk qaz təchizatını həyata keçirmək fikrindəyik. Biz hal-hazırda Albaniya hökuməti ilə Albaniyanın qaz təchizat şəbəkəsinin yaradılması ilə bağlı və gələcəkdə Albaniyaya da qaz ixracatını təmin etmək üçün danışıqlara başlamışıq. Bizə sifariş edən ölkələr sırasında eyni zamanda Çex Respublikası, Montenegro, Bosniya, Hersegovina, Xorvatiya və digər ölkələr var. Təbii ki, Avropada yaranmaqda olan interkonnektorlarla çox mühüm rol oynayır. Nə qədər çox interkonnektor olarsa, bir o qədər də bizim Avropa məkanında qaz ixracat coğrafiyası genişləndirilə bilər. Və təbii ki, uzun müddətli kontraktlar imzalanmalıdır. Çünki biz yaxşı bilirik ki, Avropada yaşıl keçidə deməli, meyllər çox yüksəkdir və biz uzun müddətli kontraktlarda maraqlıyıq və ümid edirəm ki, biz bu məsələləri bir-biri ilə uzlaşdıra bilərik. Və eyni zamanda Azərbaycana bərpa olunan enerji növlərinə qoyulan sərmayə eyni zamanda hal-hazırda elektrik enerjisinin istehsalına sərf olunan təbii qaz da Avropaya ixrac edilə bilər və beləliklə gələcəkdə bizim nəzərdə tutduğumuzdan daha böyük rəqəmlə bizim ixracatımız ölçülə bilər.
Teşekkür ederim suala göre ve teşekkür ederim Cənab Prezident sizin söylediğiniz, verdiğiniz məlumata göre ürək açıcı məlumatdır ve Azərbaycanın Avropaya ihraç edeceği miqdar tabii ki bizim gələcəyimiz üçün vacibdir və maraqlarımız eynidir gələcək və yenidən bərpa olunan enerji üzrə infrastrukturun inkişafı, tikintisi hər ikimizin marağımıza uyğundur və təbii ki, yaşıl enerjinin də Azərbaycandan ixracı üçün potensial mövcuddur və həm uzun, həm qısa, həm orta, həm uzun müddətli əməkdaşlıq bu sahədə mümkündür və təbii ki, biz belə deyək ki, tullantılardan azad enerjidə maraqlıyıq və bu sahədə biz birgə bunu təmin edə bilərik. İkinci sualla əlaqədar mən qeyd etmək istərdim ki, beynəlxalq səviyyədə Almaniya öz fikrini bildirdi və Dağlıq Qarabağı Respublika kimi tanımamışdı o vaxtı. Yəni bununla da öz mövqeyini bildirmişdi.
Azərbaycan İctimai Televiziyası Fikrət Oğulxanov. Cənab kansler, sualım sizədir. Cənab kansler, statistikaya baxsaq görərik ki, 2021-ci ildə Almaniyanın Ermənistana ixracı 178 milyon avro təşkil edib. 2022-ci ildə bu rəqəm isə artıq 505 milyon avro çatıb. Eyni zamanda Avropa İttifaqının Ermənistana ixracı 2021-ci ildə 753 milyon avro idisə, 2022-ci ildə artıq bu rəqəm 1,3 milyard avroya çatdı. Maraq doğuran fakt odur ki, Ermənistanın Rusiyaya ixracı 2021-ci ildə 800 milyon dollar idi. 2022-ci ildə isə bu rəqəm 3 qat artdı və faktiki olaraq 2,4 milyard dollara çatdı. Bu təəccüb doğuran rəqəmlər Avropa İttifaqında və Almaniyada araşdırılırmı? Çünki bu rəqəmlər faktiki olaraq Ermənistanın Rusiyaya qarşı qoyulan sanksiyalardan yayınmasını göstərir, sübut edir. Bu Almaniya tərəfindən və Avropa İttifaqı tərəfindən araşdırılacaqmı və Ermənistan bu fəaliyyətə görə hansı formada cəzalandırıla bilər? Çox sağ olun.
Teşekkür ederim sorunuza göre. Kısaca cevap verim. Bu, bizdə müxtəlif ölkələrin müxtəlif rəqəmləri ixraca aid baxmışıq, nəzərdən keçirmişik həm Almaniyada, həm Avropa Birliyi üzrə və haradakı artmalar nəzərə çarpır, təbii ki, yoxluyuruq. İqtisadiyyatın inkişafı ilə mı əlaqədardır, nə ilə əlaqədardır və Avropa Birliği'nin adi bir rutinasıdır ki, hər bir dünyada, hər bir ölkəyə diqqətlə baxsın. Bununla əlaqədar müvafiq ofislər var, hansı ki, bu ilə birbaşa məşğuldular və biz hamıya deyirik, hər bir danışıqda, iki tərəfli danışıqlarda da deyirik ki, xahiş edirik, nəzər yetirin ki, sanksiyalardan yan keçilməsin. Və Avropa Komissiyasının prezidenti də bunu açıq şəkildə ishar etmişdi bu fikri. Təşəkkür edirik.
Və xəbər verdiyimiz kimi martın 13-də Berlində Prezident İlham Əliyevin Almaniyanın aparıcı şirkətlərinin rəhbərləri ilə görüşü olub. Dövlətimizin başçısı görüşdə çıxış eləyib və indi həmin görüşdən hazırlanan geniş reportajı təqdim edirik.
Excellency, President Aliyev, Minister of Economy, Mr. Ambassador, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to wholeheartedly greet Your Excellency here in Berlin on behalf of the German Eastern Business Association, but I think I can say on behalf of the whole German business community. It's really an honor and pleasure that we can have today this discussion on the economic cooperation between Azerbaijan and the German business. It's for me especially a personal pleasure because we met just 3 weeks ago at the Munich Security Conference, and I'm very happy that we can today make our discussion more concrete about concrete projects, and I'm also very grateful that so many German companies today attended this very important discussion. We have almost 30 companies from different sectors here, and we have also the pleasure to welcome representatives of the federal government, Mr. Reichenbecher, Mrs. Allerich from the Ministry of Economy and Climate Protection. So also a warm welcome. We propose the following agenda. After my short introduction, President Aliyev will give us a strategic overview about the plans for economic development of Azerbaijan and especially the chances and opportunities for German business in our bilateral cooperation. Then we will organize a roundtable discussion. We have clustered your companies, so we clustered 5 clusters: energy first, then logistics and infrastructure, 3rd industry, 4th agriculture, and the 5th cluster is finance, technical, regulation and associations. I would ask everybody of you to make a short introduction of your company and your plans and projects in Azerbaijan. Not longer, please, than maybe 2 or 3 minutes. Otherwise, I will be very impolite and will interrupt you, because after every cluster, the President was so kind to comment and maybe react on your concrete proposals. So the time is of the essence, and also please be as concrete as possible. The best result of today's discussion would be if we will have a long list of follow-up. This is, I think, very important. So that was my short introduction, and I have the pleasure to give the floor to His Excellency President Aliyev.
Thank you very much, Mr. Harms. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for coming to this meeting. As Mr. Harms underlined, we met 3 weeks ago in Munich, so it's my 2nd visit to Germany in less than 1 month. This time I'm in Germany at the invitation of the Federal Chancellor Olaf Scholz. Tomorrow I will have meetings with President and the Chancellor. And of course, along with the issues related to political agenda, we will definitely discuss also the opportunities of expansion of our trade and economic ties. Azerbaijan's development allowed us to rely on our own resources. Country is economically independent, and that was one of the main targets of our government. We actually close to the conclusion of implementation of our projects which are financed by international financial institutions, and we are planning new borrowings. Last 20 years were the years of rapid economic growth, mainly driven by energy sector. Now the target is to work more on diversification of our economy, because with respect to the structure of GDP, now most part of the GDP is produced in non-energy sector, but still our export mainly is oil and gas. During the last 20 years, our economy grew more than 3 times. I think this is can be considered a world record. And at the same time, we, based on our reduction of the direct foreign debt strategy, reduced the foreign debt, and this 1st January 2023, it was less than 10% of GDP. So that was actually a target which I put in front of the government several years ago. Now when the target is met, we are restarting our borrowing strategy. We already started preliminary consultations with World Bank and EBRD and some other international financial institutions. But now, unlike previous years when we borrowed money for infrastructure projects, road constructions, railway, etc., now due to the growing capacity of our own companies and growing capacity of our industrial sector, we do not need any longer money for that. We will borrow money for those strategic targets which our country is facing based on the strategy 2030, which has been adopted relatively recently, and the minimum amount of funds which we will accumulate for implementation of the strategy will be 40–50 billion US dollars. In other words, we will continue borrowing on issues related to technological transfer, and at the same time, mainly we'll base our future economic plans on our own resources. As Mr. Hams mentioned, there will be also a cluster on energy. Just a couple of words on that. Azerbaijan was named recently, a year ago, less than a year ago, as a reliable partner in the energy sector for Europe by President of the European Commission, Madam Ursula von der Leyen. It's a big honor to get such an appraisal of our accomplishment. Really, we're a reliable target. We supply many European countries with oil products, petrochemicals. Some countries already start to receive electricity from Azerbaijan, and of course natural gas, starting something more than 2 years ago. But due to the growing demand in Europe for natural gas from new sources, we are now planning to expand our pipeline capacity. And particularly TANAP, which has a capacity of 16 BCM, we will expand up to 32, and TAP, which has a capacity of 10 BCM, will be expanded, we plan, up to 20. And that is mainly because of the growing demand from Europe, because you can imagine the pipeline of the length of 3,500 kilometers integrated free pipeline system, commissioned 1st January 2021, now needs expansion. After the beginning of Russian-Ukrainian war, we got requests from more than 10 European countries with respect to gas supply or increase of existing gas supply. And we are doing everything in order to satisfy the needs of our partners. We already have pretty diversified geography of our gas supply. Another issue which will be part of our discussions is transportation and logistics. We worked very hard in order to channel the funds which we accumulated from energy sales, so revenues from oil and gas, to channel to transportation infrastructure. Now it is almost done. It was almost done again based on those prognoses which we had and which actually are totally covered by our infrastructure. But now again, as a result of Russian-Ukrainian war, the demand for Azerbaijani transportation infrastructure is growing. Last year we had an increase in transit goods, more than 75%, and we even had some jam at our relatively newly built trade seaport, which has a handling capacity of 15 million tons. So we are working very hard. We allocate additional financing for expansion of the capacity of our seaport and railroad infrastructure. And of course, all that needs to be implemented. And of course, we hope that companies from Germany will be our partners in that area. Among our main future plans, of course, is reconstruction of liberated areas of Karabakh and Eastern Zangezur, which were under occupation for almost 30 years. Now the territory the size of the Lebanon is totally in ruins. So we already started a state program which is called Big Return. We elaborated already a program. We already implemented the first pilot project and resettled more than 400 former refugees within only 1.5 years after the war ended. And our plan is to resettle hundreds of thousands of former refugees, because as a result of Armenian occupation, we had more than 1 million internally displaced people and people who became refugees. So this is a broad program and which will need a lot of resources, and we're planning to implement projects based on absolutely new modern standards. We already announced Karabakh and Eastern Zangezur as a green energy zone. There will be only renewable sources of energy, which will not only feed the demands of people and industry, but also will be very useful for the rest of the country. And also a lot of potential in renewable sources of energy. Probably we can discuss it more broadly during our discussions, but I can tell you that the potential of renewable sources of wind and solar in Azerbaijan are close to 200 gigawatt. So now we are working already not only to continue to attract foreign investors, but also to provide necessary transmission capabilities to export this volume. Probably now I will conclude in order to have more time for our discussions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, for this clear strategic direction and also for the impressive numbers. This is very interesting, and I noticed how many of you wrote it down because this gives us very clear perspectives. So let's start with the energy cluster, and I would ask first Mr. Weiss from Siemens Energy, then Mr. Hohaus from Uniper, Mr. Dohner from SET, Mr. Kasapoglu, fourth is Mr. Palut from Notus Energy, Mr. Kasapoglu, and Dr. Falk. So please, and there are mics on the table. Please use also the mics. They are on. Yeah.
Thank you. So His Excellency President Aliyev, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, thank you very much for the invitation to such an important event. Yeah, my name is Christian Weiss. Within Siemens Energy, I'm responsible commercially for the region Europe and Central Asia. And we have 90,000 employees across 90 countries, and we are also located in Azerbaijan with a certain setup we have there, mainly in the service area for installed fleets. And I was happy to hear that your economy is growing that strong and that you also encourage further collaboration with the German and also multinational companies. We are also committed and would like to support the Zangajal terminal electrification project together with our partners from British Petroleum. And we are asked now to support them to create a leading edge concept without operate without direct or indirect hydrocarbon emissions in order to follow also your guidance and your plan to further develop Azerbaijan in the sense of a decarbonized strategy. So those are three concrete areas where we believe we could contribute. Again, we are working in Azerbaijan, we are successful in Azerbaijan, but I trust we can do even more. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. So, Mr. Horst, please. Ist das funktioniert? Okay. Yeah.
Yes, dear President, ladies and gentlemen, so as a representative of UNIPA, we are very happy to have this exchange today with you. My name is Peter Rohaus. I'm representing UNIPA here in Berlin. Of course, I can confirm that you are a reliable supplier for natural gas, and this is the first topic I would like to address. As UNIPA, we have currently two pillars, which is still security of supply for our customers, and the second one is the decarbonization of the energy system. And of course, we have entered into a partnership with your company Sokar in 2006. We have signed a long-term import agreement in 2013, and yes, since end of 2019, we got a reliable natural gas supply via the Southern Corridor, and therefore also from our perspective, under the current conditions where we have to reallocate our diversification strategy here in Germany as well, it would be a good idea for both of our countries to improve the Southern Corridor in order to see whether there's this potential for up to 20 BCM via the Southern Corridor, because as UNIPA, we have a clear interest also for more natural gas via this way. And therefore I also would propose that both of the governments would take a look into the remaining challenges, which of course are there, be it in the financing area, also accelerating procedures for permitting, and of course regulatory. The second step, we already have delivered a joint venture with Sokar in the field of energy efficiency. With the first project, this was Sokar's chemical complex Azerchemia in Sumagit. And there we designed the first fully integrated combined heat and power plant in Azerbaijan. And this would be a further possibility to enlarge this project as well, because we are fully committed as UNIPA to be decarbonized, also get rid of coal and power production up to 2035. And therefore we already launched together with your colleagues from Sokar also joint working groups for the further energy transition, to investigate also the potential of green hydrogen in your country. There's already also a small wind park we've started in the Shiloh Island. So yes, we see and we know for many years already that the potential of renewables is very, very high. And this could be the further pillar for a common bilateral cooperation, which should be supported by both of the governments in order not to be only in the classical field of energy with natural gas and oil. And you mentioned, Your Excellency, that is also very important for your country to diversify, and we would be willing to contribute to this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Donau. Ja, die müssen alle funktionieren.
Sehr gut. Dear Mr. President, thank you for the introduction. Very interesting. My name is Jörg Donau. I'm representing SET Select Energy. We are a relatively small, relatively unknown German family-owned trading company based in Hamburg. However, we have been active in the energy, specifically oil and gas industry since almost 40 years. And one of our first routes and footsteps were taken with Azerbaijan. We have dealt with, not myself obviously, I was still in school, but the next generation in our family dealt with colleagues of Sokar and the predecessors in the 90s and 2000s. We have kept these relationships with Sokar ever since, primarily in the oil and gas sector. However, obviously in the previous or last years, we have also transitioned, as your country did, from the conventional energies to new energies. Even though our field of expertise is logistics and transport, being a trading house, therefore we are not only active in Germany, but also in other countries around the world, be it Black Sea, be it in the Mediterranean. We have a very strong foothold in Albania, being one of the key countries for the TAP pipeline. And I think we have, even though not so strategic and political projects as my pre-speechers, however, we hope to have some interesting ideas and projects on the logistical side, which we would like to continue discussing with you and your colleagues from Azerbaijan and Soka. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Herr Palut, bitte.
Thank you very much. My name is Matthias Palut, and I'm representing the company Nodus Energy in Potsdam, a project development company for renewable energy projects, mainly wind and solar projects. We started in 2001 in Germany, but we expanded our activities pretty soon in other countries. Which is not only European countries, but also Latin America. But we are also, we started our activities in Azerbaijan last year. We had some very promising talks with landowners, with electricity buyers and investors, and we still have not found the business case yet. I mean, your country is blessed with a lot of resources, not only oil and gas, but as you mentioned it, also solar energy and wind energy. But when it comes to work on a viable business case, then we have always a few questions to answer. And I know production is pretty high when it comes to the natural resources, but the other issues are what is the price of the energy and what are investors willing to invest, and what are the interest rates. And I think we as a project developer face the same problems that everyone faces due to the sharp increase in interest rates. And I think that's something that could be limiting for investments as such. And I'm curious to know what is your strategy to foster renewable energy projects in your country. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Parat. Herr Kasapoglu.
So thank you very much, Mr. President. I mean, your ambition and your actually plan, what you have presented is really impressive and quite really excellent planning, what you are really going to obtain. And my name is Edison Kasapoglu. I'm representing, actually, I'm the CEO of Edison Technologies, an engineering group, which we are since 2004 on the market, and we support mainly large governmental projects in the background with our associate engineering worldwide. Today, I'd like to address 3 points to you, Mr. President, and hope to for your feedback. The first one is actually to give you an idea. 2018, August, after the Caspian Treaty has been ratified by Mr. Putin, we started to create a platform with Air Liquide, Sinopec Engineering, Mannesmann, and Salzgitter Mannesmann to obtain the Trans-Caspian pipeline from Turkmenistan via Azerbaijan to Europe. We planned actually, all this was actually been implemented quite to a certain extent, but unfortunately we haven't been able to execute it to the next steps. And here I would like to ask you, President, about your opinion about the Trans-Caspian pipeline to rescue this project again. Because at that time, 2018, as I said, in August, we already have been, it was also in media been published that with our consortium, we created a complete hub and cooperation to establish this project. And we also had a very large financing institution, which were also on board to support the financing of this project. That's one point. The second one is, actually, we have also the possibilities. Actually, we have already the commitment with DESFA and SNAM to receive a gas on Kipri hub between Turkey and Greece, 1 to 3 billion cubic meter of gas towards Europe. Sure, SNAM is actually a company who provide a pipeline to European countries. And we would like to understand whether Azerbaijan could support us with this capacity, because we already have discussed also with Botash, and they would also give us the capacity on Kipri for this type of volume. And the third point I'd like to, it's in a generic actually request, which I would like really to point is, we had 2 weeks ago also a delegation from Uzbekistan. They were also had a huge ambition to implement solar panels, huge power generation, solar power generation, and you mentioned that before, Mr. President, the same way. But we as an engineering company, we believe, and we started 2014 to cross these issues to all implementing the solar panels or solar energy power to the market, because at the end we are, right now, as I can see, almost more than 95% depend on Chinese supply of solar panels. So, and the majority of, let's say, production of this monocrystalline or polycrystalline wafers are mainly driven by 85% of energy, which means the cost of production of solar panels is not a rocket science. The major cost and the science is actually providing from silicon, we call it, let's say, quartz silicon, getting to the ingot and producing wafer for solar panels, and then produce the panels for the solar energy. And that's the last step, actually, where we are right now. Also, European
time.
I'm done.
Yeah.
That's the last question. And my question is to you as Mr. President, would it be possible, because we have the technology, we have also the the consortium, would it be, let's say, interesting project for the country to build such a very high energy intensive production line to produce solar ingot to sell the panels to everyone across the world? That's the third question I would like to address. Thank you very much, Mr. President. Also, Mr. Ham, thank you for this.
Thank you. Very concrete questions. Last but not least, in the energy cluster, Dr. Falk, bitte.
Thank you, Michael. Dear President Aliyev, my name is Thomas Falk. I am the founder and CEO of Falk Consulting, an independent consulting firm. My team and I advise mainly large international cooperation on political and economic issues, as well as business development, with a focus on Eastern Europe, the Caspian Sea region, and Central Asia. In this function, I'm grateful to be able to participate in this extension today on behalf of my two clients. With Nikiso, we represent an original Japanese company, which is one of the leading equipment manufacturers in the field of pumps, as well as liquefaction and separation plants for natural gas, hydrogen, and other industrial gases, as well as CO2 storage and liquefaction. The group is already active in Azerbaijan and has, for example, supplied equipment for the production of liquid oxygen, nitrogen, and argon to the local company Artsenko through a German subsidiary Kyotech. In the future, Nikiso would like to expand its presence and has a high and correct interest in supporting Baku shipyard, and Summit Technologies Park with its technology in the field of air separation as well as CO2 storage and liquefaction. There are also approaches to supply China service and other gold with current tanks and pumps. In addition, we would be pleased to present Nikiso's technologies in the field of hydrogen, such as refueling stations, liquefaction plants, and special pumps to SOCA and to discuss possible cooperations. Besides Nikiso, we represent Sana Kliniken, the third largest private hospital chain in Germany. In addition to this more than 60 clinics, Sana also operates the largest purchasing network for medical technology and medical consumables in the whole of Europe. We are currently supporting Sana Clinic, its expansion into Central Asia, and would like to evaluate the needs in the healthcare sector and thus as possible market entry of Sana in further countries such as Azerbaijan. Thank you very much for your attention, Mr. President, and I hope to receive support for my clients in the project of the mentioned local companies as well as the evaluation of the healthcare sector. We would be happy to travel to Azerbaijan for personal meetings in a timely manner for this purpose. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Thomas. Mr. President, would you like to comment?
Yes, thank you very much. There have been a lot of issues of practical importance and also questions about some of our future plans. I will start in chronological order. With respect to Siemens, I was participating at the opening of the inauguration of the Sumgait power plant, 525 megawatt. That was the first power plant which was built based on the modern technology in Azerbaijan. And since that time, the power plant works full capacity. When we were starting this project, we thought that 525 megawatt is too much, but now we understand that that was a timely project because now the consumption in Azerbaijan grew because of the growth of industry and population. Unfortunately, due to some climatic changes situation, Caspian Sea also becomes more shallow, and we had to build, we call it estacada, into the sea in order to absorb, accumulate more water. But the power plant works full capacity, and we're very happy with that. With respect to projects which now are being implemented or we plan to implement, particularly you mentioned the power plant in Yashma. I know that there is a tender procedure in Yashma project, and I'm sure that your bid will be one of the best. The tender procedure is open and transparent. There are several companies, as far as I was informed, which are interested in that, and I can just wish you success. Just for your information, I want to say that just recently we had a groundbreaking ceremony of the construction of a new power plant with a capacity 1,280 megawatt in Mingechevir. Despite our plans with renewables, we still understand that we will need to have more power generation because industry is growing, population is growing. We have 10,000 square kilometers of land which we will rebuild. Therefore, we will need definitely additional supplies. With respect to Nakhchivan power plant, actually we have also a plan to transform Nakhchivan also into a green energy zone along with Karabakh and Eastern Zangezur. There is a big potential of hydropower station building in Nakhchivan, and also recently there was a expertise conducted there, and probably soon we will have some developments with respect to construction of 500 megawatt solar power station. At the same time, traditional power station in Nakhchivan also is more than welcome because Nakhchivan has great export potential because it borders Turkey and Iran, and in both countries there is a growing demand for electric energy. I fully support your activity with respect to electric grid. This is something which we really need because the huge volumes of renewable energy demands to integrate it within the existing grid. Otherwise, we will not be able to accumulate this energy. Therefore, it's one of the main targets in front of our energy companies, and I hope that this project will be successfully implemented. Also, you mentioned about transmission of electric energy. This is one of the most important issues because today our export capacity is limited with the capacity of transmission. Maximum, as far as I remember, there is kind of 1,000 megawatt or maybe 1,500 megawatt of the transmission capabilities through Georgia and Turkey. In both countries, in Georgia and Turkey, there are bottlenecks. Therefore, there must be additional investments in these two countries to expand the capability for transmission, especially taking into account that last December in Bucharest, agreement was signed between Azerbaijan, Georgia, Romania, and Hungary to build a subsea cable under the Black Sea to transport the green energy from Azerbaijan to Europe. And this February in Baku, we already had the first steering committee of this project with participation of the ministers from these countries and also Commissioner on Energy of European Commission. And we agreed at the first meeting that it will be integrated project, not like Southern Gas Corridor, where we had South Caucasus Pipeline, TANAP and TAP. This will be integrated project from offshore wind farms in the Caspian to the European consumers. The first stage of transmission under the Black Sea is planned to be at the level of 4 gigawatt, but for that we need to have transmission lines expanded in Georgia. Otherwise, it will be absolutely useless. Plus, I will tell later about our plans and the contracts and MOUs which has already been signed by us. We think that 4 gigawatt is only the beginning. We know the demand in Europe, we know the demand in Germany. I think the figures are tens of gigawatts of demand, and demand will grow. Therefore, we have this capacity. We need just to assemble all the puzzles on the table. With respect to Sangachal terminal electric supply, which you implement together with BP, I can tell you that the origin of this project also comes from our policy on renewables. We agreed with BP that BP will be a direct foreign investor to build a power plant, solar power plant, in one of the liberated cities of Karabakh, Jabrail city, with a capacity of 240 megawatt. This production will be put into our energy system. At the same time, we will provide Sangachal terminal with electricity, and they will stop using gas, and this gas will be put into the pipeline and will come to Europe. So it's a win-win-win situation. We get 240 megawatt solar plant, BP Sangachal terminal becomes carbon emission free and more efficient. The gas which they use will be exported to Europe. So this project, which we consider to be very important with respect to energy efficiency. And there is another project which SOCAR is working on, is to build the electric cables to our offshore platforms, so that offshore platforms do not use natural gas for their operation. They will use green energy, and the natural gas which is so far used at their power stations on the platforms will be transported onshore and then again shipped to Europe. So we are not only increasing the production of gas, taking into account the growing demand in Europe, we will accumulate additional gas from energy efficiency. With Uniper, as far as I know, the contract of purchase and sales is one of the longest. It expires in 2045, as far as I remember, and then probably it will be expanded because our plans to supply Europe with natural gas will not be limited by this time. As far as I know, your joint venture projects with respect to energy efficiency in Sumgait is coming to an end this summer, and you mentioned that you consider enlargement of this project, so I fully support it. Yeah, I fully support it because Azerbaiján needs it, so cooperation already has a good history. You are our client with respect to natural gas, and of course, the more joint business we do in Azerbaijan, the better. With your project of green hydrogen in Chilov Island, as far as I understand, it's kind of a pilot project for you because really the volume is small. I will tell maybe some figures about our plans, but I would advise if you consider projects related to renewable energy and to all our partners who are interested in that, I will just give you some information about what is happening, including the pricing. So existing domestic price for electric energy in Azerbaijan is affordable to foreign investors. This is first. Otherwise, they wouldn't have invested. Today, we already have 2 contracts which are being implemented. One signed with Masdar, another signed with Aqua Power. These are 2 global energy companies and they're investing largely in renewables. These 2 contracts are in the phase of implementation. Total capacity is 470 megawatt. Plus BP, soon, I hope, we will have the groundbreaking ceremony. That will be 240 megawatt plus. So 3 major energy companies consider that the pricing and the regulations and the business climate in Azerbaijan for renewables is acceptable, otherwise they wouldn't have invested. Moreover, we have signed MOUs and altogether MOUs and contracts signed, volume level is 25 gigawatt. Aqua Power, Masdar, BP, and Fortescue Resources. So 25 gigawatt MOUs with these companies means that these projects will be implemented because these are serious companies and we are a serious country. When we use MOU with these companies, we are absolutely sure that they will be implemented. Therefore, the potential is here. As I said, close to 200 gigawatt, 157 gigawatt of offshore energy, which has been confirmed by IFC. The rest onshore, not to mention hydro. So we really will transform into important green energy supply to Europe, and taking into account our successful experience in building oil and gas pipelines, already existing history of cooperation with countries and companies in Europe on energy security, full support by European Commission to our plans, energy dialogue between European Commission and our Ministry of Energy, which started more than a year ago. So all these factors really demonstrate that green energy from Azerbaijan soon will be no less important as today is natural gas. Then we come to the trading company. And you probably know that SOCAR, our energy company, also it has its trading department, SOCAR Trading, which is dealing with selling not only Azerbaijan's oil, but also oil of third parties. And I think that there can be some examination or evaluation of opportunities of cooperation. So I think this is absolutely possible. So, yes, I answered the question of Mr. Palat with respect to pricing and looking for business case. We have a map of our solar and wind potential. The governmental body which is dealing with that is Ministry of Energy, and the Agency for Renewables, which is part of the Ministry of Energy. I think if you have interest, our Minister of Economy can provide you with contacts and just maybe to come and to start business in Azerbaijan. With respect to Mr. Kasapoglu's information with respect to Trans-Caspian pipeline, Trans-Caspian pipeline has been discussed for many years. I remember at least 10 years minimum that it is being discussed. While it was discussed, we built Baku-Tbilisi-Ceyhan, Baku-Tbilisi-Erzurum, Southern Gas Corridor, and we will build a green energy transmission line to Europe, and Trans-Caspian will be still discussed. So this is the situation. All the projects which we initiated, they already either found its completion or definitely will be successful. Trans-Caspian for us is not our project. In Trans-Caspian project, we are considered to be a transitor. And we already many times, including myself, publicly said that we are ready to provide necessary transit for our friends and partners across the Caspian if they decide to build the pipeline. But according to my knowledge, why it is not yet been resolved? Because the source of financing is not determined yet. Who will be carrying the burden of building the pipeline of the capacity of 30 BCM is unclear. Whether it will be some European companies or it will be money coming from EU. For that, it should be included into the joint interest project of common interest. As far as I know, it is not the case. And whether it will be government of Turkmenistan or not, we also do not know. Therefore, this is question number one. Who will pay for that? Second question is, okay, it is found who will pay. Then it comes to Azerbaijan, where it will go then. Because in TANAP, we don't have spare capacity now. We will expand TANAP from 16 BCM to 32 by building new compressor stations, and it will be fully booked with Azerbaijani gas. So that means that after Trans-Caspian, this potential pipeline comes to Azerbaijan, someone should build another pipeline from Azerbaijan to Europe. Who will be that company? It's a good question. I'm not skeptical. I'm realistic. Again, it's not our project. If anybody decides to build it, we will be more than happy because we will earn money from transit and we will provide good services to our neighbors in the east and in the west. With respect to DESFA SNAP projects of natural gas from the Mediterranean, that's how I understood, yes?
Yes, the transit will be from Kipri, between Turkey and Greece. DESFA is a Greece company, but the subsidiary of SNAM. And they actually gave us the commitment to have a free capacity from 1 to 3 BCM.
Free capacity where? In TANAP?
To Europe. No, from Kipri, when we bring the gas via Botash.
But then?
Yeah. Via Botash pipeline, via Turkey's pipelines to Kipri, Greece border, they will give us 1 up to 3 BCM gas free capacity to transfer to Europe.
Border of Turkey and Greece.
Right.
Yeah. I see.
As a hub for
And is there a capacity there?
According to what Mr. Kasapoglu says, if I understood correctly, the government enables company to have this transit throughput capacity subject to them finding natural gas. Is that correct understanding?
Correct. Between 1 up to 3 BCM.
I see.
Capacity they can allocate through this pipeline.
Maybe then you can discuss it after our meeting with our minister to have maybe more information and more details. And of course, any project which needs our support with respect to energy security, we will definitely support it. And the last comment was about some activity in Azerbaijan at Baku shipyard and Sumgay Technological Park, as far as I got correct. And also hydrogen. So I think I covered these issues. Baku shipyard, by the way, will be very busy. We are planning to expand its capacity because, as I said, there is a growing demand for transportation across the Caspian. Azerbaijan so far has the biggest trade fleet on the Caspian of more than 50 vessels. And shipyard of Baku can produce 6 vessels per year. And this is not enough for those volumes of oil and dry cargo which we expect from Central Asia and probably from China. You probably heard that there is a project of construction of railroad from China through Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan to the Caspian Sea. And definitely then, after it gets to the Caspian Sea, it will go in our direction. So we really are now in the process of serious assessment of potential transportation volumes through Azerbaijan, and we must be ready for that. We must invest, and there'll be a lot of, investment opportunities or contract opportunities in that area. I think I tried to cover all the issues.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, for these very concrete comments. Before coming to the next cluster industry, I forgot, frankly speaking, Mr. Tröndle, who comes from the solar capital of Germany, from Freiburg. Mr. Tröndle, maybe short comment on the, I think, on solar, yeah? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm coming from Freiburg, unfortunately a little bit late because train was late. Sometimes it happens, sorry. Freiburg is a capital of solar industry, I would even say worldwide. And we have a very big scientific basis with more than 1,000 engineers. And they are happy, they would be happy to work for Azerbaijan because for them it doesn't matter for whom they work for a carbon footprint reduction. And if you would be, and your country would be interested to work together with Freiburg, I would be happy to invite you or your team from SOCA, from the ministry and so on, and then you can see and discuss, and I'm sure there will be a lot of possibilities.
Thank you, with pleasure. We'll be happy to work together. And also I forgot to comment about previous issue with respect to opportunities of manufacturing of solar panels in Azerbaijan. We'll be happy to work with you or any other company, because as I said, there'll be a big process, a big development. Today, yes, sure, most of the solar panels which will be used in our solar power plants are panels which are produced in China. They're good quality and very affordable price. As far as I know, European producers are a little bit more expensive, to put it mildly. But if we organize a joint manufacturing in Azerbaijan, taking into account the labor force price, taking into account the energy price and local demand, I think it can work. It can be competitive. Yes.
This is point because in Freiburg they developed a new generation of solar panels which are more flexible, and especially for agri-photovoltaic. It's fantastic and with fantastic results, but it needs also science, and that's why it would be nice to have common science projects and so on, especially in agri-photovoltaic, which is for Azerbaijan fantastic. Yeah, so
yes, very good. Maybe then you can also, after our meeting, to have some more detailed exchange on that. We'll be very happy to organize such a production. We are now in the final stage of completion all the necessary infrastructure for a free zone, which is situated close to Baku, on the shores of the Caspian. This free zone already has first residents, and maybe some more information about free zone, its regulations and advantages can be provided by our minister later today.
Okay, thank you very much. We come to the next cluster, in industry and also building. We start with Mr. Knotzer from Knauf, then Mr. von Michaelis, Mr. Schulz, Mr. Kappelhoff, and Mr. Rürko. So, Mr. Knotzer, please.
Your Excellency, first apologize me for being late. I'm a general partner to the Knauf Group. Knauf is a worldwide leader in building materials. We had 15 billion of sales last year and 42,000 employees in 90 countries. In Azerbaijan, we do marketing and trading since the 90s. And since 2008, we have a partner where we build in Ganja materials for the local building industry. Our products are mainly based of gypsum, and we have 80 quarries worldwide and 4 underground mines. That's our raw material. That's where everything is based on. It's gypsum. And here I have a plea to you and the ministries. We run out of our gypsum reserve, and there is a lot of gypsum more in Azerbaijan, and we need support for more capacity, because we want to increase our capacity locally for production. We want to add more products in Azerbaijan, and we also want to export into Georgia, and if politics allow, also to southern neighbors in the Caspian. So this is my plea. Maybe we can get your help. Thank you.
And you have some difficulties in getting access to the new reserves of gypsum. Did you discuss it with local officials, with the Ministry of Economy?
So far, we did not get in touch directly because it's with the partner, but we have an issue with the quantity that is there. So we really need support.
So existing reservoir is almost
depleted, yeah, and we need more licenses and a new area to mine, so we can continue to be productive.
Yeah, I fully support it. I know the project. It was implemented, as you said, in 2008, close to Ganja city, I think on the territory of Goranboy district. And I think this will be possible to resolve. Maybe you can give some additional information to our Minister for Economy. And definitely, we always support foreign investors, and your company is one of them. And you invested in Azerbaijan in the years where we just started our diversification process. So you were one of the first from Germany. So of course, we will be glad to continue. I haven't heard that you already emptied the reserve. Probably you work very hard, so it's good indication. But also I now give instructions to the Ministry of Economy to look at it seriously and to find additional reserves for you so that you can continue to operate. And as far as I know, you supply 100% local market, so no more imports come from abroad?
No.
On the contrary, you export yourself?
Yes, we export a little bit to Georgia, and we want to increase by building a plaster mill, and we also want to increase our share in our partnership with our partner locally.
Yeah. If any assistance is needed for that, Minister of Economy is here. After the meeting, he will be ready to see how we can assist in solving the problem. With the reserve, it is, I think, easy. With your relations with your partners, we cannot interfere. Yes.
Okay, Herr von Michaelis.
Your Excellency, it's a great honor to be part of this round table discussion. I'm the CEO and founder of Global Clearance Solutions. We are active in the area of demining or mine clearance. I visited Azerbaijan and the Karabakh region several times, and I could witness myself the destruction and the contamination with landmines and other remnants of war. Meanwhile, we've delivered equipment, German-made technology, to the Ministry of Emergency Solutions. In the last few months, we've completed a very extensive mentoring and training program. We not only develop equipment, we also run our own operations in other countries. So we would be capable to not only provide qualitative equipment, but also the support to effectively deploy this equipment. So we would like to intensify our relationship with the government of Azerbaijan to accelerate the development of the Karabakh region and allow the refugees to move back to that area.
Thank you very much. As you know, it is one of the biggest challenge and obstacle in front of us to resettle former refugees sooner than later, because according to our very accurate estimation, Armenia planted more than 1 million mines during the times of occupation, and since the war ended in 2020 November, we had almost 300 Azerbaijanis either killed or seriously injured. Our potential is relatively limited, though recently we purchased equipment from different countries, including European countries. Even we now use drones which can detect from the air. And also training is very important, so thank you for that support. And we need to maybe look in more details to your proposal, because frankly speaking, when we were looking to invite foreign companies to operate, the price for demining was much higher than local. So demining per 1 square meter, European price several times higher than the price which our national demining company is ready to do. And plus, recently several private Azerbaijani companies emerged, which are now also dealing with demining, and their price is acceptable. Because as you can imagine, it's a very costly thing, because 10,000 square kilometers, of course, not every meter of that will be checked, because it's high mountains, and of course we know where the potential mines contamination is. But I think that maybe have more detailed discussions with our demining agency, because today 3 structures provide demining in Azerbaijan. Number 1 is Anama. I mean number 1 by the volume of activity. This is Azerbaijan Demining Agency. Number 2 is Ministry of Defense. There are special platoons and battalions created for demining. And Ministry of Emergency Situations, they have a very small share in that process. So I would recommend maybe you to help to establish the contact with our National Demining Agency and to see about the pricing, to see maybe we can have some joint venture process. So I think there is a big potential for that, unfortunately, for many, many years.
Unfortunately, yes, we see that in many countries, and we do believe by combining international expertise and the local infrastructure, we can actually get that price down. You're right, it is very expensive, but we've seen it in countries like Croatia. The square meter price is 15 cents.
Yeah.
25 years of the conflict, so that's where we can get to, but it requires a good collaboration. Thank you.
Thank you.
So please, I have really I would ask you to speed up a little bit, because we have only half an hour left, so that everybody can make his comment. Olaf Schulz, please.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much, Excellency, for great insight and guidance. My name is Olaf Schulz. I'm with Nokia. Nokia today is a business-to-business innovation technology leader in the field of digital infrastructure. So we are not a mobile phone company anymore. I still have to underline that. Most topics that we have discussed so far depend on digitalization to be efficient and successful, and of course on a good digital infrastructure. And that, of course, also concerns when here renewable energies, energy grids, transport, and all that. That is well known, of course, and all governments basically do have digital programs. Also your government, and we believe that you are in particular successful with that. And that convinced us that Azerbaijan is also for us to be the place to be in the region. So we have established our regional hub in Baku, so we manage our business in the region, also Central Asia from Baku. We also believe that this is only one side of the coin when we really want to be part of your success story. So we believe that technology is the one side and people is the other side. And the best technology doesn't help if you do not have the people who are educated and know to leverage the technology
the benefit of the country. So we collaborate with the Digital Development Agency. We just also gave money for a digital education program. We will open a fixed network laboratory in Baku in the next months. So what I try to say is we really do not want only to see Azerbaijan as a market where we deliver, and that's what we do today, and very successful. We are proud to do that. But we want also to be part of this digitalization journey in the country. And of course, we hope also to grow our business with that. So as said, we have a good business. There are areas where we really would like to do more. And we would like to discuss where it makes sense really to do more when it comes to digitalization so that we bring the return for the investment back as soon as possible.
Thank you. By the way, digital transformation now is part of our strategy, not only strategy 2030, but also part of our priorities. And it was not by chance that our Minister of Communications and Transportation was renamed, and now it's named Minister of Transportation and Digital Transformation. This was not just the change of the name, but the change of the approach. And I fully support what you said. I think that there must be probably more active contacts with our ministry and your company, because we really plan to be among the frontliners with respect to digital transformation in our region. This is general, strategy of our government to try to attract and to apply modern technologies in the areas which have a great potential, and not to be late and not to be lazy thinking about oil and gas and our geography and transportation, but to attract companies and businesses to the country which can be useful for our future. Plus, I'm very glad to hear that you've selected Azerbaijan as a center for your operations in the region, in Central Asia. Every time I hear this news, really, I once again think that we did the right thing in order to provide not only information about what we are planning to do, but also provide the good investment climate. And by the way, just for your information, the World Economic Forum of Davos, they also decided to select Baku as a regional center for the Fourth Industrial Revolution Center, which was inaugurated almost 2 years ago, and it covers Azerbaijan and Central Asia. So it's not only a geographical, connection, but I think will be also a technological and from point of view of geography, proximity to the regions, to Europe, to Asia. Of course, it's difficult to find the better place. Maybe I stop, speaking as a guide, but really my task is to attract investors, technology, companies, strategic partners in the areas not related to oil and gas. Oil and gas is done. What next we will do is actually based on already existing pattern. Now with digital transformation, which is new for us, we need to have strategic partners for long term and hope that that will be the case with Nokia.
Very good, Mr. Kapelov. 1 minute, please.
Dear Mr. President, thank you for the time, for the round table here. My name is Jan-Bernd Kapelov. I present the company Tauber. It is a family company here in Germany. We do the jobs here in Germany, in Polska, Portugal, and Switzerland. My business is creation and maintenance of infrastructure and canals construction. In the history, we do the jobs for Azerzu. It was a good time. And I hope that we can start in the future to do the jobs for Azerzu to keep this. Thank you very much.
Thank you. There'll be a lot of things to do with respect to water distribution. We are implementing the projects now in many cities where we still need to upgrading of our water supply and sanitation. And our target is to have 100% coverage of the drinking water all over the country. Of course, it will be difficult to do because it's a big scope of work. But we also have plans in order to have some structural reforms in the area of water management. The time has come for that. Now the government is evaluating different options and to apply the modern technologies with respect to water distribution, especially now when we see that there are less and less waters every year. We see it, unfortunately, as I said, Caspian Sea is becoming more shallow, and also we have less water in our rivers, in transboundary rivers and in the rivers which take source in Azerbaijan. So water management and efficient water management will be definitely one of the priorities for the coming years.
Your Excellency, Mr. President, I'm very honored also to be here in this group. My name is Marius Reiko. I am Managing Director of Gerber Architekten. We are architects, landscape architects, urban planners, and of course interior designers. Now we have been building for about 60 years in Germany, also in Saudi Arabia and in China. And mostly in the public sector. So we've been helping also Germany with universities, public sector buildings, libraries, health projects, and many other useful buildings in the environment. What we're experiencing currently in Saudi Arabia is also the transition from a fossil fuel-based, energy-based society to a renewable-based society. We've been instrumental driving the change. And we have started activities last year in Azerbaijan, in Baku. I've also visited Karabakh. We have talks with the mayor's office about park designs in your city. We are in discussions currently with project developers about residential and other projects. I've got two questions for you, Mr. President. With regard to renewable energies and the drive, in the future, I think buildings can become energy producers rather than just being energy consumers. Will there be a policy driving that change? If so, Gerber Architekten will be very happy to help drive the change. Secondly, my observation traveling around Baku is with the influx of people, I believe with the growth and the success of the city, there's a congestion issue that is visible. We've experienced this issue in other places. Is there a transit-oriented construction plan or a metro plan that you would like to share with us in the future? Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you for visiting Azerbaijan, and you visited Karabakh, and you know, probably you are aware about our plans. We already approved the master plans for all the cities. Now more than 20 villages master plan have also been approved, and we invited also international companies, you know, from different countries, and also local companies. And as I said, in Karabakh and Eastern Zangezur, we want to build the residential areas and public spaces ecologically friendly and very easy to live and with good access to transportation and all the services. With respect to your question about the buildings which produce energy, during my participation at Davos World Economic Forum, I met the owner of one company, don't want to name the country and the company, who gave me this information. It was a kind of for me, very interesting news, and immediately I gave the instructions to the presidential administration, which is a coordinator of all the reconstruction in Karabakh, and now we started already to work on the pilot project. The pilot project, probably the feasibility study, will be ready maybe in a couple of months. Building itself looks very beautiful, very impressive, and it itself produces not only the panels, but so if you have this technology or if you have this know-how or you can make proposal on that, that will be more than welcome, because this is really a kind of absolutely new development, new technology, and I think for Karabakh it will be very appropriate, especially taking into account that it is a green energy zone. With respect to Baku city development, you've been to Baku, you know the city. Yes, with the underground, we have big plans. We are among few countries of the former Soviet Union which builds underground, because many of them stopped it after the collapse of the Soviet Union. And we have a strategy, and also we are now working on integration of our public transportation with underground, and we are now close to applying the unified system for that. Plus, population is growing, Baku becomes bigger and bigger. Therefore, now we are elaborating the new projects with respect to the traffic, roads, bridges, tunnels, all that is in the process. Plus, a lot of interest now, and again, a kind of a new construction boom, because Baku already had a couple of waves of growing market of residential compounds. So I think your projects will be interesting to look. If I can have a look at some ideas, I will be very glad.
I would love to share, of course.
You can share with me after the meeting.
I mean, I should add, as Mr. Schulz said, of course, having worked in the Arabian-speaking region and in the Chinese region, coming to Baku now as a center of exploring and contributing to the built environment in the Central Asian region is our goal. And I'd like to drive that, and I would welcome support for a smarter and healthier built environment, of course, for everyone. Thank you.
So let's come to the sphere of logistics and infrastructure, and I would start with Mr. Svens, then Mr. Kerskens, Mr. Klana, Mr. Zimmermann, and Mr. Novak.
Your Excellency, good afternoon. Philip Sweenes, Managing Director of HHLA International. HHLA is the Hamburg port. We are majority owned by the city of Hamburg, also stock listed, and we are mostly known because we're the operators of the container terminals in the port of Hamburg, but also we are the largest intermodal operator in Western Europe. We've been present in Georgia and Azerbaijan for more than 20 years with a subsidiary called Hala Project Logistics that started at the time with the transports to the NATO transports to Afghanistan and has now developed gradually in everything that is high and heavy, I would say, moving whole factories between the Black Sea and Azerbaijan. And we recently also opened an office in Kazakhstan. We see a lot of chances with the middle corridor. You addressed it earlier on, but especially the leg between Aitau and Poti or Kars in Turkey there are some bottlenecks between the different moving from the Caspian Sea to the rail, back to sea or to truck. And there, as an operator, we see a big chance. We see with the geopolitical chances that the corridor can develop, and we would be very interested from an operational point of view to support that development in whatever form possible, be it in port operations, be it in intermodal, or be it in simply freight transport.
As I already said, now we are facing a new challenge. We need to expand existing capacity, because the capacity we were building, this was based on the existing volume of cargoes and our prognosis. So now, after the big turn towards Azerbaijan from Central Asia, we need to work hard. So just for your information, we are now investing Azerbaijan, and probably next year this investment project will be completed, into the expansion of one of the bottlenecks, which is Baku-Tbilisi-Kars Railroad, its Georgian segment. From 1 million tons, it will be expanded to 5 million tons. Azerbaijan's additional investments will be more than $120 million, and we will complete it hopefully next year. There are other bottlenecks. One of them can be our trade seaport. We are now in the process of completion of feasibility study of expanding from 15 to 25 million tons and 1 million TEU. But again, we have some other bottlenecks en route. Therefore, of course, we are working on integration of transportation infrastructure and also on customs administration. In several days in Baku, there will be a visit of the General Director of the World Customs Organization. And one of the things which we'll discuss will be how World Customs Organization can help in coordination between Central Asia, Azerbaijan, Georgia, and Turkey. So to have this route as integrated, of course, there must be unanimous approach to the tariffs, because if one country, for instance, Azerbaijan, reduces the tariff, another country do not reduce or increase, it will not work. And from point of view of transparency and good governance and management, probably your representatives in Azerbaijan, you said you are 20 years there, can see a lot of changes in our transportation segments of our government. And it is transparent, it should be efficient, and being able to accumulate the cargoes. Plus, we should not forget that there is another transportation corridor, north-south, which also crosses Azerbaijan. And we are exporting or transiting cargoes not only from east to west, but also from north to west and also from south to west. So the pressure on our railroad infrastructure, seaport, and highway will grow. So you know that we have a diversified railroad system, but now we are upgrading our railroads in order to increase the speed of trains, so that will make transit time even shorter. And at the same time, of course, all that should be done in coordination with the facilities on the eastern shores of the Caspian, the ports of Aktau, Kurik, Turkmenbashi, and Baku need to work as one single mechanism. And also, of course, if you have some ideas and recommendations, what you think will be good for transit volumes and for business will be highly appreciated.
Thank you. Mr. Kerskens, please.
Yes, Mr. President, you answered a lot of my questions already. I'm Heinrich Kerskens. I'm representing Renus. Renus is a company working in 60 countries doing logistics with now 40,000 people. And we are in your country since 8 years with one office in Baku. But we also work in Central Asia, China, India, and everywhere around. And I just came back from my second business trip to Azerbaijan last week. And our strategy is now that we are trying our utmost to bring the middle corridor to a really running good system. And for that, I also had talks to the advisors of the Minister of Economy, yes, and to the advisor of the Minister of Transport, and with the CEO of the port of Baku in Alat, and the CEO of the Alat Free Zone. Already, and there were very good talks, very productive talks, and we made a study and we made some plans already for the port of Baku, and we offered that to the CEO there because we saw what we could see in your stage 2 and stage 3 of the port, that the capacity you plan there might be a problem that they are not feasible, and we made an idea that we could redesign the container part of the port to a more efficient system, and which will be much cheaper, only 200 million instead of more than 1 billion for that. And so we are working on that already now, since 1 week. And the other thing is we discussed with the Ministry of Economy is the shipping on the Caspian Sea, because what is there now is not feasible to really stand the pressure of transport needed in the future. And there is the need, in our opinion, to design a Caspian Sea optimized ship, because as you already mentioned twice, the Caspian Sea is going more swallow. And so there is a problem with draft, as we know that in Hinterland here in Germany with the River Rhine. And so there needs to be a design of a special shipping concept, which could bear that, which could bear the ice and the waves also. And there is some R&D has to be done. And we see in future there is a need for these optimized ships with between 20 and 40 of them, maybe distributed between Kazakhstan and Azerbaijan. But because ships tend to run more than 20, up to 40, 50 years, we think also the propulsion technique should be already for the future beyond oil. And all that should be done jointly together with ministries, with people from the industry, with universities. And that can't be only invested by a private company, that should be a joint effort of state. And the last thing I want to mention, you already mentioned that, is the Baku-Tbilisi cars line. And you are also shareholder or in the operation in Akhakalaki, which is the gateway to Turkey in cars. And what we see there is that the planning of the terminal is definitely not a feasible terminal, and there should be done a very, very urgent redesign. And we are willing to help you with that, but it should be done. Otherwise, there won't be any good connection to Turkey. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your valuable ideas, and I'm glad that you've been recently to Baku and you met all the officials. You mentioned Alat Prison, Port, Ministry of Transportation and Economy. A good context for that, and of course your recommendations with respect to optimized design of ships will be very valuable, because as far as I know, the idea was just to continue construction of the ships which we have, whether it's a dry cargo ship or tanker. But if due to some reasons, or maybe some shallow waters and some canals digging, we still have to dig canals on both sides of the Caspian. If there is a kind of a new approach to optimize ships which can be bigger capacity or can go faster, I think that will be taken into account. And with respect to the terminal in Akhakalaki, also will be interesting, because I'm not deeply, how to say, involved in these technical issues. My, how to say, target was to provide financing for expansion of Baku-Tbilisi cars, but of course we need to do it based on the efficiency, and also with respect to expansion of the seaport. If we can do the same thing with less price, of course we have to do it. And definitely we'll be very glad to get your proposals. I don't know whether the Minister of Economy already got these proposals or not. Yes?
Yeah, Mr. President.
So, yeah.
With all this evaluated, basically this is based on private-public partnership approach. I think we're a few weeks maybe from coming to decision making.
So in few weeks there'll be already a proposal to make a decision, right? Yeah. Very good. So you will inform me about that. Thank you.
Yeah, dear Mr. President Aliyev, Minister Jabarov, thank you very much again also from my side for taking time. My name is Henrik Klarner. I represent the German business of Thales in Azerbaijan and in Georgia. So actually I'm in Azerbaijan for more than 12 years, and as you may know, we have realized projects for Baku Metro, for example, in the last few years. In the future we will be even more concentrated to make business with Azerbaijan Railways. Just 3 weeks ago I did have the honor to meet Mr. Rustamov from Azerbaijan Railways. So we talked about the modernization and rehabilitation for the East-West corridor from Baku up to the Georgian border. And we have also discussed the section from what we call the North-South corridor from Iran coming via Baku up to the Russian border. So that's definitely one of our key issues in the future. Means we are ready for business in order to improve Azerbaijan Railways. And with the first project, I can say that the idea is to install a competence center of the company in Baku, which should be then the heart for the activities in Azerbaijan, Georgia, and Central Asia. Just one additional information. Actually, the German part of Thales will be sold from Thales over to the Japanese company Hitachi. So in the future, I will act, or the company will act under the name Hitachi Germany. So there's no any more activities of Thales in Azerbaijan. It's replaced, but the business comes from Germany. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. All these projects are very important. I am very glad that you met with officials. With respect to metro construction, you know our plan is we do it step by step. With the railways, yes, we need to upgrade, as I already said, and east-west is mostly done, but the north-south, the speed of the trains is very low. So now we are investing in the reconstruction of railroad from Baku to Russian border. And hopefully in a couple of years it will be done. And also we are planning to change the direction of the railroad, which goes in the south direction, because now it goes right on the shore of the Caspian Sea. So potential of north-south transportation corridor, potential volume of cargoes will be from 15 to 30 million tons. This is a recent information which we got from those who plan to use Azerbaijan as a transit country. Therefore, we should have such a railroad which will be able to transport this volume. We hope there will be a lot of business activity on that route, not only building the railroad, but all the necessary additional industrial, commercial, infrastructure, and of course the railroad should be built based on the modern standards. So really, without direct access to open seas, Azerbaijan is already becoming an important transportation hub, because it's not only from east to west backward, but from north to south and from north to the west, because you know that there is a big need now for companies to find new ways of transportation of their cargoes in order to be able to export their goods. So transportation will be one of the drivers of our economy, and we hope not only from point of view of getting transit revenues, we want en route to create additional opportunities for business, mainly small and medium enterprises, and a LAT-free zone will be instrumental, I think, in bringing foreign manufacturers to Azerbaijan.
Felix and Mirko.
Dear Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, I represent Silkway West Airlines here in Germany. Silkway West is without bottlenecks operating flights to Azerbaijan. So we have 28 flights per week from Frankfurt-Hahn Airport and additional flights from Leipzig Airport to Africa for the German government. And so we use the Baku hub. The Baku hub has a very good performance. I mean the airport Baku. And we have one side is our transit flights to Asia Pacific region, but also for the region of Central Asia. And Baku is for the German economy also the airport, a hub for more than 90 million people in that circle. So I would like only to give that statements because we are quite happy and satisfied sector, and thank you for support of also of your government and also of course for the German government, because in the last years, especially during the COVID times, there was really a big support to get all traffic rights to operate these flights. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy that you are happy, and hope this is the best news. Thank you. Wish you success in the future.
Thank you. Excellency, Mr. President, it's a great honor to be here. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mirko Novak. I am the founder and the CEO of the Luno Group, working for over 30 years now with Eastern Europe, based in Hamburg. And as a Hamburg company, mostly, of course, our business is in logistics and in infrastructural development. So one of my favorite topics in the last 2 years is the Middle Corridor, the development of the Middle Corridor. We established there for a company in Georgia and prepare now a feasibility study of the Middle Corridor with actual data now and figures with a forecast for the next 30 years, and it will be ready at the end of the next month. So I think it's also very interesting for you. We further work in infrastructure development in the ports. We have a huge investment project in the port of Constanța for some terminals there, and the ports of Poti and Anaklia, of course, we look over there too. There is an investor who wants to engage there very actively. New port terminals in Poti and the new Anaklia port. So there's my question for you. Maybe like the Kazakhstan Railway, who is now very active developing in international logistics, not only inside Kazakhstan but outside. They want to invest in the port of Poti, as I heard. There was a terminal. Maybe if Anaklia will come, I don't know exactly the figures now, but hopefully it will be attractive. Maybe it's interesting for Azerbaijan too to have a new connection to the Black Sea. So that will be very interesting. We are there very active, and I will be happy if there is some interest to be their key player in this. With your port, of course, Baku, we also work together with the CEO. We spoke so many times about how we can connect Hamburg port more to the port of Baku. So I'm very happy to be also there in the next future. Thank you.
Thank you. I was informed about project with respect to Anaklia port in Georgia some maybe 6-7 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. And we started actually to evaluate the possibility of being co-investor. We've been invited by Georgian government to be a co-investor, but then Anaklia port project was cancelled, you know it. And now we heard that it's again coming back. So we have to look at again, because probably there were reasons why it was cancelled and reasons why it is now rebirth. So we, of course, if we have some information about the composition of investors, the shares of investors, who will be the co-investor, for us it will be interesting to look at this capability, because now with respect to this new direction across the Caspian, what we discussed today, there will be, of course, need to expand seaports on the Black Sea. And also I'd like to say that our Caspian shipping company, ASCO, it has vessels in the Black Sea, and they have plans to acquire more vessels, because not only in the Caspian they operate, but in the Black Sea. But in the Black Sea their operation is relatively modest. But we think that there is a big potential for Azərbaycan Caspian shipping company to be more visible in the Black Sea, because I know that there are plans to build new vessels in the Black Sea between European ports and Georgian ports and Ro-Ro vessels and others. And Caspian Shipping Company of Azerbaijan has potential. It has a governmental support. Government can also provide some financial assistance to them in order to use this opportunity and to make good business, and at the same time to contribute to transportation security. So let us discuss, work, look at the figures, and then we'll decide. Thank you.
Thank you. So the next very important cluster is agriculture. Mr. Bodnar, Mr. Klima, Mr. Brodersen.
Thank you very much for the possibility to speak now. It's interesting that the agriculture is part of this whole thing, and you mentioned already that you are outsourcing a little bit from gas and oil, so we are happy that we with our potatoes have a small part in this conference. Your plant is the biggest potato breeder company in Germany and among the world leaders. We have 120 years of experience, many years already in Azerbaijan, one of the main seed potato suppliers to your country. And not only for the process or for the consumption, fresh consumption, for the supermarket supplies, but also more and more for the chips and French fries industry, which you are building up recently in your country, so you don't need to import these products anymore from outside, but even exporting these processing produced potatoes. And if we have the chance to continue our deliveries to Azerbaijan in the future, then we would be happy to support your growers, your producers, to increase the efficiency and productivity of potato production in Azerbaijan. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. With respect to potato production in Azerbaijan, you know that finally we got, how to say, to the point when we are self-sufficient, and some years even we export. But of course, we need to increase productivity, because you know our country, there are special regions in Azerbaijan where potato production is really very efficient. And also now in the liberated area of Karabakh and Eastern Zengezur, there is a big potential for agriculture. And we are actually now working, our government, Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Economy, and other bodies, President special representatives in those districts, to plan maximum efficient use of this agricultural land. Because for 30 years, there was an illegal use of our land by Armenian occupational forces, but very inefficient, because they did not invest, they were just using what the land can give, and productivity was very low. It was 3 times lower than productivity which we have in Azerbaijan in different cultures. So now we are preparing, and maybe it's already almost done, a kind of a recommendations for our farmers who will go back to the liberated territories, what kind of culture they should produce. We cannot dictate, but with the subsidies, with the flexible subsidies, we can direct them to use part of the land for potato, part of the land for fruits and vegetables, part for other purposes. Therefore, with respect to the supply of seeds, you know better than anyone how this is important. And of course, if you started to produce product like chips, it's very good, and it will be, I think, the good diversification of our exports and reduction of our imports. And what are your plans in Azerbaijan with respect to manufacturing, maybe?
Yeah, the most important thing is that you have an increase in the productivity of the product, because tons per hectare is very important to have efficiency in the product itself. Otherwise, it's cheaper to use all the vessels and cargoes and trains and import the things if you don't produce in a high quality from the soil which you supply. So this is easy mathematics, I might say, but this is the main topic which we have to focus on now.
Mm-hmm. Very good, thank you.
Talking about productivity, especially as you mentioned, very important project, Karabakh, of course, where we also been focused. It's getting more and more a change in the agricultural field from small and medium-sized agriculture into industrial-sized farming. So bigger machinery are required from more sophisticated technology companies as we providing this. And we are just recently getting more and more bigger orders for the bigger machines. What we are currently facing is that even our partners are getting more and more problems with the financial funds for this huge volumes of machinery required. And therefore, from my point is here really requesting if there is any possibility to fund more even the private traders for this agriculture machinery importing. In addition, very important for this machinery demand is the technology training for operators and also for servicing this kind of machines, which needs to be more focused and more effort for getting these people trained and getting more people trained for this kind of technology. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, of course, I know your products. I, as you mentioned, visited many times your stands at agricultural exhibition. And we were purchasing equipment from you, I think from the state funds. But I don't know now what is the situation, if there are some problems with funding the private companies or some loans to private companies, or you mean a direct purchasing from you that can be done. You just tell me what practically should be done in order to, how to say, expand our cooperation.
Yeah, it's more the private sector which requires more funds, because they are now facing that bigger volumes coming in, which they can't really put their finance on. However, it is really good to see that there is an increase of demand of this kind of machinery, but therefore it's also this kind of problems of having the right funds available for this requirements and demand. And as I said, the training for the people who run this machine and service this machines.
With respect to the training, we hope that you will provide services for that. With respect to the funds, we have a mechanism of funding the small and medium-sized businesses through our fund, which is under the umbrella of Ministry of Economy. Maybe you can give some information about that, about some soft loans, low-interest loans to private sector to be able to purchase this equipment.
Thank you very much. I think your point is on concessional financing. As Mr. President has indicated, currently we have roughly equivalent of 100 million euros per year, soft loans up to 7 years, mainly to small and medium enterprises, mainly for modernization of the enterprise. I will be happy to get in touch, maybe just to see how the program can be designed and if I can match you with the banks, agent banks, because the decisions are not made by the government official. Decisions are made by private commercial banks, and the idea is to exactly to get the financing to the small and medium enterprise who wouldn't have long money or for this or another reason cannot meet market rates.
Also, I think it will be good if you look at the opportunity to create a service center in Karabakh, because we have two industrial zones in Karabakh, one in Agdam region, another in Jabrail region, and there are already service centers of some machinery in the process of construction. I think they'll be good from all points of view, because I think class is maybe the most popular agricultural equipment, tractors and combined, the most popular in Azerbaijan. And there's a big potential because there'll be a lot of agricultural activity in that area.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Herr Brodersen, so as fast as possible.
As fast as possible. Excellency, thank you very much for coming to Berlin. My name is Per Brodersen. I'm the Managing Director of the German Agribusiness Alliance, which is an initiative of the German agribusiness. And we've been talking already about natural resources, about renewable energy, and talking about this without mentioning agriculture. That's completely incomplete. Your country is doing a very good job in producing pomegranate, for example, tomatoes, even sugar beets at the moment. However, I had a look at the numbers. In 2021, Azerbaijan had to import wheat, for example, and vegetable oil for more than $300 million a year. And we would like to team up with you to enlarge productivity and secure self-sustainability in your country, in the countryside, to create more jobs in those rural areas. And you mentioned the phenomenon of climate change, irrigation problems. The German Agribusiness Alliance can serve as your partner for modernizing Azerbaijan's agricultural sector, and I would be very glad to team up with you and your colleagues for future and enhanced dialogue. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You touched on a very important issue with respect to irrigation. Until relatively recently, we had a very chaotic situation in that area, especially with respect to the absence of meters on our water reservoirs, and also unfair distribution of water resources among the farmers. And this was bad management and also a lot of wrongdoing. So now we established a special governmental commission which deals with these issues, and the monitoring of our water reservoirs is on a daily basis. So that was first thing. Now we need to apply new technologies with respect to efficient use of water, because, as I said, every day we have drought. I think it's already 5th or 6th year that we have drought. It was never like that before, because before it was 1 year it was good, 1 year it was bad, it was kind of compensation, but now it's endless process. And less rivers, water in our rivers. So modern irrigational system which will save water are needed. Plus many canals which we have were built during the Soviet times, and they are not concrete canals, they are not pipe canals, they're just sand, land. And of course there's a penetration of water, there's a lot of losses, plus the soil becomes absolutely useless. Therefore now we are facing, I to say, the challenge how to modernize these canals, what will be the most efficient technology, and also irrigation of land in parallel with that. So food security is really something which we seriously need to take care of. We cannot satisfy 100% our needs with what we consume, but at least to be able to satisfy the basic. For instance, with respect to grain, we do not even put a target to have 100% self-sufficiency, because it will just occupy a lot of land which can be used for other products which have more efficiency. But at the same time, to try to be maximum self-sufficient is important from point of view of security, because now when there are big disruptions in supply chains, there are big problems in sometimes even importing the goods which you contracted and you paid for that. We faced that in previous years several times. This becomes issue number one. The water is basic need for that. And I think we can have a kind of a long-term strategic institutional cooperation in this area with respect to elaboration of strategy of water management. So we'll be very grateful if you can provide your support to us.
Very much.
Thank you. Mr. President, do we have time for two more interventions?
Yes, sure, of course.
Two areas which are very important and who are kind of basis for everything else. This is financing and technical regulation. So Mr. Epifanov and Krause. Yeah.
Yes, good day everybody. Mr. President, thank you very much for your time, for very interesting talks. Jokes all. Just small information about myself. I spent 3 beautiful years in Baku, heading the representative office of one of the big bank in Germany, and now I'm working for another bank, but still with Azerbaijan, and happy to contribute to the country. As you mentioned, the war between Russia and Ukraine opened the new opportunities for some countries, and Azerbaijan is one of them. But for the banking industry, it opened the new challenges. And now we are working closely with the biggest bank in Azerbaijan, with top 4. We are ready to open the current accounts to provide cash services. We already work with International Bank of Azerbaijan and Pasha Bank in terms of trade finance. We are ready to support a big project, as Mr. Klana mentioned. We might think about supporting and financing what Mr. Klima told, and work with maybe with the department of Mikhail Jabarov, with the fund which supports a small enterprise to create some financial possibility with export agencies from Germany. But one of our topic is, of course, now what is challenging is re-export of the prohibited goods to Russia. We had already very good talks to board members of Pasha Capital International Bank of Azerbaijan. We had a very good meeting with Mr. Taleh Kazimov, Central Bank Chairman, in Washington in October.
Thank you very much. Probably you heard about some comments with respect to some countries in our neighborhood which are involved in this illegal activity. This country also starts with A, but it is not Azerbaijan. And it is not a secret, and all the figures are available. And of course, we wait when they will be sanctioned, or whether they will be sanctioned for that, because if you look at what is happening, and also the comments of very respectable officials of different countries clearly demonstrate who is in this, I would say, dirty business. Azerbaijan is not, and from the very first days of this process, my instructions were straightforward. No parallel import, no facilitation to avoid any sanctions. We are a law-obedient people, a law-obedient country. We don't need headache. We don't need to earn money which is not clean. For us, what we have, what we earn is enough, and we want to protect our good reputation also in financial market. And also, as you mentioned, you spent some time in Azerbaijan. Hope you enjoyed that time, and very glad that you also maintain contacts with our leading financial institutions. You know that we had problems in banking sector, very serious problems. One of them was International Bank of Azerbaijan, which actually attempted to destroy the whole financial system of Azerbaijan. That was a deliberate provocation, and it was not just the stealing of money from the government. It was an attempt to destroy Azerbaijan's financial system. And we more or less know who was behind that. So we had to do a lot of cleaning, and I think finally we managed to come almost to the end of that process. So banking sector in Azerbaijan is much more healthy than ever before. According to some additional information which I got from our central bank officials, that still there are issues which we need to address, but I'm sure that very soon banking system in Azerbaijan will be one of the most transparent and efficient in our region.
His Excellency, Mr. President, it's good to have you here and to discuss with you very important questions and topics for the development of each other of both countries.
So we have the Regional Development Program, which is a 5-year program which is adopted every 5th year. The first was adopted in 2004, just several months after I became president for the first time. And now we are in the process of finalization of the 4th program. All these programs, they have been published in our press, and they are known. So these programs are very concrete, and they actually reflect the projects which will be done in Azerbaijan within 5 years. Apart from that, we have an annual investment program. Now we divided it into 2. One is traditional, another is for reconstruction of Karabakh and Eastern Zangezur. So all the information about the projects which will be implemented this year and next years are with the Minister of Economy. The Minister is here. You can discuss with him later maybe more practical issues. At the same time, as I said before, we already approved the National Strategy of Development until 2030 with 40 to 50 billion US dollars investment. Most of that investment will be state funded. But at the same time, it will be a private-public partnership projects also. Therefore, concrete projects which we will implement and we need to implement, we have in our minister's, I'm sure, notebook. So, more than welcome to participate in them.
Mr. President, thank you very much. Thank you very much for your time. We even extended our time frame. This is, we know your schedule. That's why it's really, again, a great honor. I think we completely achieved our goal. We have a very long list of follow-up projects. Maybe let me mention just some of them. I think green energy is one of the priorities. It goes without saying, I would say, having in mind the big potential of your countries. Especially important is the logistics of green energy, because we have worldwide a lot of projects, for example, in hydrogen. But I think the country who can organize the best logistics for green hydrogen, or other green sources of energy will win the race. And here Azerbaijan is in a very good position. Transport and infrastructure, it's also very important and obvious. You mentioned not only transport and logistics as such, but along the transport routes, industrial development. And this is, I think, also very important. Then I think digitalization and agriculture, which was also mentioned. And for all areas, it was also mentioned by some of the participants, training of people is very important. And here we are also ready for cooperation. And the last special issue, because it is, as we learned, also very important for your country, is irrigation, the rehabilitation of the canal system. Here I think Germany has a lot to offer, and we can also have it on our follow-up list. Maybe I can have also a discussion with the minister. We can organize in due course also online meetings with the respective ministries, which you will maybe appoint for our contact persons, and then I can announce that we also plan a business delegation to Baku in the second half of the year. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. First of all, thank you for this initiative to organize this meeting, and thank you to all the participants for very interesting discussion. Just a couple of remarks to conclude. With respect to education, we'll be very glad to see more cooperation in this area between German educational bodies and Azerbaijan, especially in the area of vocational training, because there is a big demand now, especially in the areas which we discussed, agriculture, etc. So I think we need to maybe have a kind of a special, maybe track on educational cooperation. Also, I would suggest before delegation comes to Azerbaijan, I would suggest to maybe to channel some concrete proposals to us through the Ministry of Economy, so that by the time UN delegation come to Baku, we already have, how to say, analyzed all those proposals. And maybe by the time when you come, or maybe even before that, we can, if everything goes successfully, conclude a contract. So that could be a good, also practical result of your visit. And of course, I invite all the participants and maybe a bigger group to come to Azerbaijan when it's convenient for you, and maybe to spend several days and to meet and to continue our discussions. I'm really looking forward to have a very strong partnership between Germany and Azerbaijan in the area which we discussed and beyond. Thank you very much for your attention and for your patience.
Martın 14-də Prezident İlham Əliyevin Almaniya Federativ Respublikasına işgüzar səfəri başa çatıb.
Berlin şəhərinin Brandenburg-Willy Brandt aeroportunda dövlətimizin başçısını rəsmi şəxslər yola saldılar.
Hörmətli tamaşaçılar, xəbərləri izlədiniz. Görüşmək ümidi ilə sağ olun, sağlıqlı qalın.